Hi, my name is Jennifer Simons, and I'm an attorney in our estate and trust department at McAndrews, Mehalick, Connolly, Hulse and Ryan. And I want to take a few minutes today to talk about pet trust. We have a lot of clients who have pets, and they want to make sure that their pets are cared for in the event that something should happen to them. I think during the pandemic, pets have become even more important, especially to people who live alone and their pet might be their only companion. And again, they want to make sure that their pets are cared for at their death or if they become ill. So there are a couple ways to do that. One is to simply appoint a person in your will who would get your pet at your death. In the same way that you would leave a personal property to another person, you can leave your pet to an individual in your will. You can also leave a specific amount of money to the person who you are leaving your pet to use the money to care for the pet. However, you want to make sure that the person that you're going to appoint, that you talk to them ahead of time, you make sure that they're okay with it, that they agree to care for your pet. And you want it to be somebody that you trust, because naming somebody in your will, there's really no way to legally guarantee, and here comes my pet, there's no way to guarantee that the pet, the person that you appointed at that point in time, that they're still going to be able to care for your pet, that they may be sick or unable to take on your pet as they had agreed to previously. You also have no way of guaranteeing or enforcing that the money that you leave to them is used for the care of your pet. So again, you want to you want to make sure that you pick somebody who you trust, and that they know what your wishes are, and that it is somebody who's going to follow through on carrying out the wishes that you have for your pet. So there's another way, though, if you want to be more sure that the funds are used for the care of your pet, and that there is a legally enforceable way to carry out your wishes, is to create a pet trust. In 2006, Pennsylvania became one of many states that now allows a trust to be created for the care of an animal. And you can create a trust where you leave specific instructions for the care of your pet, such as, things like what kind of food do they like, what is their health, do they take any medications, who their veterinarian is, if they're a cat, are they allowed outdoors, or are they only an indoor cat, and whatever type of information that you want that person to have to be able to care for your pet in the way that you did. And again, the trust is created that will hold the money, the funds that will care for the pet. And creating a pet trust ensures that your wishes will be carried out, and that the money in the trust is used for its intended purpose. One thing about a pet trust is that you are appointing a person in the trust as the caretaker for your pet. And that person can, make sure that the terms of the trust are being enforced. If they're not, to have a court enforce that the trust funds are being used properly, and the trust is being carried out properly. So there are a few things that you want to think about when you're going to create a pet trust. And the first is who you want to name as a trustee. The trustee is going to be the person who is going to manage and administer the trust. They're going to hold the trust funds and distribute the money to be used from the trust to care for the animal. So again, you want to make sure that it is a person who is going to be responsible, who's going to be able to take on that task and handle that role. You also want to probably appoint a backup trustee. in case that the original person that you appoint is no longer able to do that, that you have another person named who would be able to act as trustee. And one of the most important um, things to consider is how much money you want to fund the trust with. And probably the best way, or the easiest way maybe, to come up with an estimate is to think about how much money you spend on your pet in a given year. For instance, how much do you spend on their food, on their grooming, on their veterinary bills? Um, and then think about the age and the health of your pet, how many years they may have left to live. If it's an older pet, they obviously are not going to have as many years left as a younger, a kitten or a puppy. And if the pet is sick, again, how much longer do you think that the pet could live, given their health? And then try to come up with a number based on this and based on what you spend in a typical year, multiplying that by how many years you think that your pet may have left. Um, and you want it to be a reasonable amount of money too. You don't want it to be um, such a large amount of money that a court would view that as unreasonable. So a reasonable amount of money, again, giving the factors that I just talked about. And then another thing to think about is who you would want to get any money that is left in the trust after your pet passes away. So the trust will terminate upon the death of the pet, or if there's more than one animal named to care for in the trust after the death of the remaining animal or animals. And if there's any money left in the trust, who do you want to receive that money? Whether it be a family member, or whether you would want it to go to a charity that cares for pets, like the Humane Society. But just to make sure that you have named in there who would receive any funds that are left. And then also to think about whether you want to create the trust during your lifetime, or if you want it only to be created at your death. One reason you may want to have a trust created during your lifetime is if you're worried that something could happen to you where you would get ill or become incapacitated and no longer able to care for your pet. Having the trust already set up will then ensure that who is going to be appointed to care for the pet, and everything is already set up. Otherwise, most people typically probably just have that the trust will be created at their death and it will be funded by money from their estate. But again, I think the most important thing to think about, whether you're deciding to create a pet trust or to just name somebody in your will, is that with a pet trust, again, you can have a person who can ensure that the trust is being carried out and is being carried out according to your wishes. You can have a court enforce that you can't have if you just name somebody in your will. So for somebody who wants to have more peace of mind that the money is being used for that purpose, it might be a good idea to think about doing a pet trust. If you have any questions about planning for your pet, or if you have questions more about doing a pet trust, you can contact our office and ask to speak with one of our attorneys. And I hope this was helpful. Thank you.